sometimes it's okay to let the fire burn. Like, let the fire burn for a while because you have bigger priorities over here. Take care of these, and either this will get fixed or we'll fix it.
Yeah.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Leader Lab. This is Leadership Shorts, quick thoughts to help you level up your leadership. My name is Chad Wright. I'm the founder of Forward Partners, and I'm joined, as always, by my partner in podcasting, Emily Grace Deal. Emily Grace Deal, what are we talking about today?
Today we have a question.
Okay, let's dive in.
My boss has set big long-term oh my gosh, I can't speak today. My boss has set big long-term priorities for me, but then also brings me new priorities every day that are more urgent. I feel like I'm making no progress because there's always a new priority. Is this just a me problem, or do I need to talk to my boss about it?
I like the last piece because we do question that all the time, right? Like, am I just broken here, or is this a boss problem?
Right.
The reality is it is a boss problem, and probably needs to be a conversation, but we got to have this very carefully because I think so much of what we talk about is so simple. You look at it and go, oh yeah, that makes sense. So hard to do. And I think the concept here that applies to this is if everything is a priority, nothing is a priority.
Yeah.
And we are so guilty of that sometimes. I think there's times we get overwhelmed and we have so much happening that it's like, oh, but we got to get this thing done. We got to get this thing done. We got to get this thing done. And the short-term priorities pop up and rob us of the movement on long-term priorities, right? And ultimately, we don't really get done the things that need to get done because we don't know what they are.
Right. We look back and we're like, oh, yeah, we were going to do that this year. Well, yes. The year's over.
And I think that's something that we as leaders can be guilty of. I know I've been guilty of that before, where it's just everything is important, and so therefore nothing is. And so that happens a lot. What we have to do to guard against that is, I think, kind of create an environment where it's okay to talk about that. Like, if I as a leader bring you 5 priorities and say all of these need to be done today, and you look at it and go, I get 2 of these done today.
Right. Well, and I think part of that is that on me. Part of it is on the person who's getting those priorities, because I need to be able to be like, okay, well, you gave me this and I also have these other things.
Yes.
What is the priority?
And that's where, as leaders, I think we have to create an environment where that's an okay conversation to have.
Yeah.
Because this is the hard part of this. Like, even the last part of what they sent in, is this just a me problem, or do I need to talk to my boss? I honestly think this person would like us to just say, it's a you problem. No need to talk to your boss about this really hard thing. As leaders, people don't naturally come up and challenge us about things.
Yeah.
And so you have to create an environment where that is okay, where it's okay for me to hand you things and you go, hey, you said 5 things. I have capacity for 2. And we don't do that often because we're afraid, right? Well, now what are they going to think of me? Am I going to be on the chopping block because of this? And so as leaders, we got to create that space and that psychological safety to say, hey, it is okay to talk about capacity.
Yeah.
It is okay to talk about if priorities are not clear. And then when people do challenge us on that, because that takes a bit of courage, how we respond matters. And we cannot be like, well, we just got to get it all done. Just go.
Yeah. You know, figure out how to do it because it's got to be done. Yeah.
And if that's a conversation you're having steadily, it's going to go way better. And they're going to go, oh, this is actually safe for me to do. Because oftentimes what they're going to find out is the boss goes, you know, I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
Or they forgot they gave you 2 of those projects.
Totally forgot that you were working on 3 other things. And so they go, yeah, let's focus on these 2. I'll pass these 2 over here and I'll take one of them. We'll get them all done today. Right.
Yeah.
That's going to be most of the conversation. Rarely is it going to be, well, we just have to get them all done, so make it happen. And that's what we're afraid of. We're afraid it's either that and we know we're not capable of it. And so really, ultimately, this is it's a priority conversation, but it's a capacity conversation.
Yeah. And even though it may be easier said than done, like, it's got to be done or you're going to be miserable.
Yes. Not
wanting to go into work, probably working slower on the projects that do need to get done because you don't want to be doing them, or you are panicked because you're trying to do everything.
That's it. And so it's such a simple thing, and I think it really is such a simple answer. Like, if everything's a priority, nothing is. And so we have to set clear priorities with a view of capacity. Those 2 things have to be married up together. And so hopefully as a leader, if we can consider that up front, our team's not having to have that conversation. But then if they do have to have it, we've created that environment. That becomes really helpful, because when we get overwhelmed as leaders, it is so easy for us to lose perspective on what everybody's doing and what the priorities are and what's most effective right now, we just get into firefighting mode. Let's just put out the most urgent thing.
Right.
Well, the urgent might not actually be the priority. Sometimes it's, and this is a hard thing for leaders to learn, but sometimes it's okay to let the fire burn. Like, let the fire burn for a while because you have bigger priorities over here. Take care of these, and either this will get fixed or we'll fix it later.
Yeah, ultimately, like, you have to look at both, like, now and long term and see what needs to be done.
Yes, and this kind of goes to the previous episode when we talked about the idea of quiet leadership. Quiet leadership is patient and says, okay, I see that we're playing a long game here. We can't get all this done today. So what can we do that is the most important? Mm-hmm. And so this just takes a lot of intentionality.
Yeah.
Leaders, let's talk next steps. I want you to think about how you set priorities for your teams. Do you also talk about capacity? Do you also consider what can realistically be done? And even if we're stretching and we're pushing for more, do we consider actual capacity in that? And have you set up an environment where it's psychologically safe to challenge you on things? Where when you say, here's the 4 top priorities, and they go, okay, but you already gave me 3 yesterday, can they have that conversation with you in a safe way where you're going to stop and actually consider things and then reprioritize for them, help them understand what's next? Because most people, honestly, they just want to work. And so if you can set clear priorities and say, here are the 3 things you need to run on, they're going to run and they're going to do a great job. But we have to set that, and we have to do it with a view of capacity. I love talking about things like this, and when people send us questions, it really is helpful.
Yeah.
Because we get to dive into different areas we weren't maybe
I love
thinking
helping
about.
people solve problems or
Yes.
potentially help them.
Absolutely. And so if people want to send us questions like this, where do they send it to?
To lab@forwardpartners.net.
lab@forwardpartners.net. If they want to find us, we're on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. We're putting out content all the time about leadership. Mm-hmm. Where do they find that?
@ForwardPartner.
@ForwardPartner. We're always sharing resources there. Emily, thank you for doing this.
Thank you.
John, thank you for producing. Thank you for watching. Please share this with fellow leaders that this might be helpful for. If your boss is bad at priorities, maybe talk to them about it. Don't just send them this blindly.
You're bad at
and hope it will do
priorities.
good. Like, talk to them about it and say, hey, I found a helpful thing. So that might be the right order to do that in. But please share this with fellow leaders. And if we can ever be a resource, please reach out to us. We will see you next time right here in the Leader Lab for Leadership Shorts.